Almost got me that time.
All right, welcome to the LightTwist show, where we spotlight the most exciting builders and creators in virtual production, computer vision, and spatial computing. I'm Vikas Reddy, founder of LightTwist.
And I'm Phil Nelson, the co-host with the co-most, the second banana who is second to none, your plus one and only. And I'm back home in San Francisco just in time for GitHub Universe to descend upon my poor, unwitting neighborhood.
All right, well, super excited for today. Our guest today is a real force in the AI and computer vision industry. She's a founder and CTO and advisor who I've known for many years, Anna Petrovicheva. We'll talk about the AI landscape, how Anna got her start in the industry, and get a peek into the future of computer vision and AI.
But first, let's get to know our guest a little bit better.
Yeah. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah. In fact, do you want to give a quick, just a quick intro of yourself for the audience?
Sure. So yeah, I started as an engineer doing things around OpenCV 12 years ago. The boon of doing something for open source library, big open source library like OpenCV, is when you do even a small part there, it actually impacts a lot of people, and that's the part that I love about open source. So I worked around OpenCV. I spent a couple of years at Intel. And then together with my two engineering friends, I opened a consulting company. First, it was 3 people coding days and nights, some state-of-the-art deep learning solutions. It actually grew quite a lot. Now it's 40 people, and we have several Fortune 500 clients. But the drive is still the same. It's basically to see something that we do work for some people in real life and make it better.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for joining the show. And before we get started into some more deeper topics around AI and computer vision, wanted to start with our usual quick questions. So, Anna, are you ready for that?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, awesome. So, first question is, what is on your desk?
Oh, a bunch of stuff. So I have 2 computers, one with Ubuntu, one with a macOS.
Nice.
I have my notebook where I write all my stuff. I'm pretty old school in this way. Well, I have my bunch of notes that I also have here on diverse papers of diverse sizes, and I have my AirPods.
Awesome.
Can I do a follow on? What's your go-to notebook brand, Anna?
Well, I love this one. So this is one from IKEA, actually. It's with plain white papers and super nice to touch. It's discontinued, sadly.
Oh, ain't that just the way?
I bought a ton of them. So I have a stack.
Excellent.
All right, next question. What was the last TV show you watched?
Oh, that's a nice one. I'm actually now watching Witcher season 2.
Oh yeah.
And I love that. The weird part about that is that one of my friends is like super similarly looks like super similar to Siri, and she also does cosplay. She cosplays Siri.
Man,
so
nice.
It's like so weird. It's as if she's playing there. Yeah.
That's cool. What was your Anna? What was your first job?
I was proofreading texts in a newspaper that they give you when you decide to marry. So when you decide to marry, you go to a specific place, and they would give you some, not actually a newspaper. It would be a whole kind of nicely printed journal that they would give you. And I was proofreading it for orthographical mistakes, mistakes in words.
Nice.
It was on my first year in university, and I just wanted to get some first experience doing stuff.
That's awesome.
It's cool. Yeah. Interesting.
If you were a cyborg, what would be your optimal machine to human ratio?
Now we're getting to the real questions.
Yeah.
Oh, Oh, that's a great one. So like at least 50-50%. I'm all the way transhumanist. I believe that this is the right way to go. And the only way that we can survive all that is the right combination of us working together with AI. So I would not, be shy about that.
Nice. Would you pick invisibility or power of flight?
Power of flight. I think invisibility is weird. I mean, it would be cool for the first 5 minutes, but then you would try to, just undo that.
Yeah, I think we've gotten that. Yeah, we've gotten that from a couple people on the invisibility side. So
Yes, as I said before, I think the non-perverted uses of invisibility are like we haven't found that many. We haven't found that many.
There's actually a book around that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but yeah.
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich, Anna?
Sandwich, definitely.
Okay,
Wow.
nice.
Is that the
that was
first
like the best
sandwich?
That was the first. It might be first sandwich, and also like finally like a straight answer out of
That's
a guest.
right.
Everyone always hems and haws, but
Trying
Anna
to jerk
finally
us
gave us like
around,
a straight up answer.
Yeah.
All right,
It pays off
so
not to love hot dogs, it seems, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have to think a lot.
all right, so this is like our most serious question here, which is it's a replicant test. So you're in a desert, walking along in the sand, when all of a sudden you look down and see a tortoise. It's crawling towards you. You reach down and flip the tortoise over on its back. The tortoise lays on its back, its belly baking in the hot sun, beating its legs, trying to turn itself over. But it can't, not without your help. But you're not helping. Why is that?
That's a tough one. I actually don't know. Why wouldn't I help a poor creature? Probably something bad happened to me while I did that. But
I don't know.
Then I'm thinking that I'm too pessimistic about that.
I think
goodness.
This is questionable because I think Anna's showing way more self-awareness than most humans.
Yeah, I gotta say,
she is a replicant.
Also, super excited about the as a transhumanist. Like, I think this is inconclusive. I think we gotta.
Also, she's one of the few people in the world with the skills to actually, to have maybe 10 years ago created a more replicant version of herself. So
it is totally believable.
All right, so yeah, I think I think we'll move on to the next segment there. I think inconclusive on the replicant test, but you know what? I actually don't think we're, it's a test, but it's not really a.
I don't feel like I'm in any danger. I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's also like, we never said that if you were a replicant, we avoid having you on the show. It's more just for the audience to get to know the guests.
Yeah, we're not bigots. I mean.
Yeah. So, well, so we, at the LightTwist show, we love to talk about the past, the present, the future. I don't know, like one of the questions I was curious about is this field of, computer vision, especially like, 10, 15 years ago was quite small. It wasn't, it was compared to where it is now, where everybody's talking about computer vision. I remember when Jeff and I started Occipital, it was like nobody really was talking about it as much. How did you first get into computer vision? What was your first entry into that? How did you get excited about it? Maybe just tell us about how you got into computer vision in the first place.
Well, that's the best part. So I was in the university, and on the third year of my studies, we had to pick up a scientific advisor. And it was actually a super funny scene that we had 10 scientific advisors that we could possibly choose, that they were all in the same place, and each one of them would pitch to us. Actually, they would pitch to us, so we become their students. I was super undecided. It was just too much, and this the scale of what they were offering was just too big. But my friend caught up quicker than I did, and she's like, "This guy who talked about computer vision, he's the most interesting guy here. I'm gonna go with him." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm probably gonna do the same." So this is how I got into computer vision. She left computer vision like 2 years after that, and I'm still here.
Wow. That's awesome. And then, did you have to specialize in a certain area of computer vision right off the bat, or was it just a broader area?
I mean, yeah, I was so in computer vision, there is kind of probably the biggest split that, at least in my perception, is people who tend to do some more kind of technical stuff about, integrating algorithms into hardware platforms, low-level stuff, things like that, and the kind of higher level algorithmic stuff. I was always closer to that part of things. And I kind of stay there. So I definitely know something about the, architecture of processors that we use and stuff like that, but I still kind of lean towards creating the algorithms. Yeah.
One of the things that we wanted to definitely touch on is, going over to the present, I would say, you guys just launched a new aspect of Model Place AI, where you're letting people have access to off-the-shelf, ready-made computer vision algorithms that are pre-trained, like ready to plug into your applications. And you just launched a new part of that, which actually we're showing up on here on the screen here. Do you want to tell us about the mobile frameworks you just launched?
Yeah, sure. So the drive there was the following. There is kind of a vast universe of algorithms in computer vision that do exciting things, but it's kind of sad for me that it's still pretty hard to integrate them into an iPhone application, say, right? And it takes, it's not an algorithmic problem anymore. It takes a certain kind of skills in conversion of frameworks or of neural networks from one framework to the other framework. And it's actually just the same for almost any algorithm. So we figured, why don't we do that, right? Why don't we supply already converted frameworks for computer vision that work on iOS device? So a sample application would be nice, right? And it kind of solves all the problems for people who know the iOS frameworks well, but don't know anything about the computer vision. I have a good example in my family. My husband is iOS programmer, so I kind of am able to see how he looks at our field from his perspective. So I decided that maybe we should try help people like him do more stuff around computer vision and AI, basically products around artificial intelligence super quickly. That's the idea.
That's awesome. Great.
Yeah,
and you went and found a handsome voiced nerd to do the voiceover for the video too. It's me. I did the
yeah.
The best voice ever. I'm sure.
Voice talent, co-host with the co-host
right.
Former pro wrestler, extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the challenges? Because this is something that I've done in various ways. Like in previous companies, have done like things like bringing like SLAM and various like algorithms, like optimizing them to run on Apple devices. And there's compute constraints and sort of compute modalities of like how do you map various algorithms. Like I guess that was more SLAM and other things are more in the geometric vision world. But and then there's also just like how do you what's the best way to integrate with the camera frameworks and like how that works. And so what were some of the challenges that you had to solve with the team to get some of these models to wherever they were pre-trained and run to actually run in real time on mobile devices?
Mm-hmm. So there are several steps to that. The kind of computer vision step and the iOS step to that, I would say. On the computer vision side, I would say for the most of the algorithms in computer vision, if you don't want to run real time, especially, it's like pretty straightforward process that you would just need to keep doing, right? Mm-hmm. You would need to take the model from the framework where it's originally trained, like PyTorch or TensorFlow, and use CoreML2, a library that's provided by Apple, to convert it to a format that would be supported by CoreML. Then you would need to check that everything is exactly the same. And typical place where problems arise is when you converted the model and it converted nicely, you cannot reproduce the exact steps to pre-process and post-process the results. And this is painful. This typically takes like a couple of hours, like several hours to figure out all the time. Even if you did that, several times in your life. Then you would need to port that code into something that would be supported on iOS device. So my personal pipeline is typically the following. I convert from PyTorch to CoreML in Python. Then I create something that I can call in Python that would run CoreML. And I would check that the outputs are exactly the same as in PyTorch. Then I would take my sample C++ project, run a CMake or everything around that. And I would use libtorch, that is C++ version of PyTorch, to create just the same pipeline, but in C++.
Right.
And after that, this code can be used directly in the iOS application, right? That would use the pipeline there. It's not the way that we use it in the iOS applications that we sell on Model Place. It's nicer there, but the easiest pipeline to convert something to iOS is just like I said.
Yeah, and I guess there's having have played around too. Like, are there cases where you also had to? Right now with Model Place AI, with these mobile models, are you also doing some additional optimizations to get them to run in real time, or is it more like, at least at first, you're starting with just making that process super straightforward, where you've already built a nice system and code for converting the models more automatically, and you've got presumably tests and everything to make sure it's all good. Is it more that it's are the models equivalent from a correctness perspective, or from an output perspective, or have you also had to do some optimizations to make them run fast on iOS?
Yeah, we did some optimizations definitely, especially for the models that require running in real time. The pose detection model that we sell, we created C++ code, C++ framework around that would allow to do it just faster than if we didn't. So basically, we did not do a lot of model optimization for this specific product. But we did some. The bigger effort that we did was to try to understand what would be the format that would work for more people that develop in iOS. What would be the format that would be understandable and easy to use for them? So this is something that we paid quite an attention to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and making stuff really drag and drop for iOS developers is absolutely not trivial, as you well know by now. And Vikas, you and I both have a decent amount of experience trying to do that as well. Even in 2022, it's still a lot of work to package something up in a way that is simple for existing iOS devs to just bring into their project. And it seems like y'all have done a really great job with that. So congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we wanted to really make it drag and drop. So you copy the part of our sample, insert it into your applications, and this is an MVP of a product that you have in mind. This is the idea, and this is what we did. It also has some documentation in Gitbook that we super love Gitbook, by the way. It's a great product. Great.
That's cool.
So we use Gitbook here to also talk a bit about how to use that.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, this is you can already tell it's way better than Media Lab or Media Pipe, I should say.
Media Pipe.
Yeah, that's been a huge having tried to run Media Pipe on iOS. It involves a lot of running Google's special compiler tool called Bazel and all this.
They love their cutesy bespoke build chains, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here,
well, that's awesome.
A couple of models here is from MediaPipe. What we did is exactly we extracted them from MediaPipe and we inserted them in an application that would be very easy to use for people to alleviate the pain that you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's each time you have to go through it, it can be 100 hours a time because it's just ridiculous, just annoying stuff where you're maybe 100 hours is exaggeration, but each, in aggregate for sure when you try it with, especially if you're trying to iterate and it's really annoying.
Well, and God forbid one piece of the pipeline has a version bump or something, and now you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, this point release doesn't work with this point release of the compiler, and blah blah blah.
For people that want to try this out, I think they can just go to
get.modelplace.ai. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. And you can start with this free model for face detection to just test how it runs for you. You would
Yeah.
download a file that would be just runnable in Xcode, and it would have the full source code to understand how we structure the samples and stuff like that. And if you're happy with that, you can proceed to the other models like pose detection and background subtraction. And we have something that we are working on right now. We are working on a model for stable diffusion. So stay tuned.
That's awesome. That's exciting. I'm excited to try that out. We might even try to plug that into to LightTwist into our studio here.
That would be, especially the in painting and out painting. That could be really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking like you could even either transforming the studio itself if it's image to image or us. Maybe pretty recently CVAT spun out of Intel and maybe walk us through like what's happened there, because it's a huge project in the whole world of computer vision, and lots happening.
Yeah, and I don't know how they did it, but they got the same guy to do the voiceover. It's weird.
Oh my God, that's magic. Cannot be, no.
Yeah.
So CVAT was developed at Intel since 2017, and Intel put like a lot of resources to make it a great product. It has millions of downloads. It's used by thousands of teams, including like a lot of companies in Fortune 500 for data annotation. And we at OpenCV used it throughout many years to build our data annotation processes around that. Because it's my belief that at our point in computer vision, we can actually solve a lot of different problems with algorithms. And the biggest question is the data. It's not the algorithms anymore. So the job of data scientists is actually to get the data right. And for that, you need a tool that would allow you to label the data with a precision and accuracy. So this is what CVAT does. So this summer, CVAT spun out as a startup, and Intel donated their repo to OpenCV Foundation, for which we thank them a lot.
Yeah.
And the idea is to focus the community that already is existing around the tool to help them develop the algorithms that they develop with more precision, with faster, using the AI tools that we are working on.
That's awesome.
I was, but when I was doing a little bit of work with the team on CVAT, it is a tool that I had actually never heard of before. But when I started looking into it, it was crazy. It was like one of the best kept secrets in the business that everybody's using it, but nobody was really talking about it. And so
the best part about it is that there is a song that users wrote about CVAT. I have never heard of a software product that would have its own song.
Anna, how do you see do you see yourself and the team like integrating, like obviously with ModelPlace.ai, both the mobile models and even just the other server or desktop models, you've already figured out a pipeline to ship and deploy these models across like desktop, mobile, I think even the OpenCV AI kit. Do you see a potential tighter integration even between the work at CVAT and the work you're doing at ModelPlace AI, where those could be a nice pipeline from labeling all the way through? Just curious how you're thinking about that.
Yeah, it's something that we are discussing internally. It makes total sense to integrate the models that we have on ModelPlace to accelerate the auto annotation for CVAT users. Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Kind of on a more abstract scale, all these products are somewhat in the same ecosystem, right? And even the same guy narrates the videos for
That's
us,
right?
So they are somehow joined very nicely all together.
There hasn't been like a lot of. I think there's all these like awesome disparate pieces, but I think there's probably going to be a lot of power in like integrating them in a way that's just easy for developers to just make happen. That'll be awesome.
CVAT does have some ML powered assistive annotation tools already, isn't that great?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it has some, and it seems that they are working very well for people who use them.
Nice.
But definitely we want to have more of them, right? Because people annotate all sorts of data with them. So recently we were working with one of the universities, and it turns out that CVAT is applied in so many biological studies. It's just mind-blowing. So I was talking to people who understand how global warming affects biology, diversity, who understand how the different animals like mice, they behave in different experiments in biology. So it definitely makes sense to introduce more specific models, not general purpose models like YOLO, for example, but specific models to accelerate the annotation of data like that.
That's a great goal, I think. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's like, and I think like, when you're talking about the using AI models to like help in the labeling, is it typically, are you running like a different model, or is it typically like bootstrapping where you've got a trained model that does like some of the work, and then you go and the labelers can just kind of correct it, almost acting more as QA than sort of labelers. Like, or have you found like there's cases where you can apply sort of a different model for the training stage for helping like pre-label the data?
For the process that you described, when we first, pre-annotate, for example, humans on the image, and then the annotators would just slightly correct the bounding boxes. It's widely used in CVAT, and it can accelerate the annotation quite a lot. We saw the cases when it accelerates the annotation by 10 times.
Wow.
Always, of course, not in all the cases it happens like that, but it's impressive. It's like very impressive. The next, there are several ways to actually go about how to kind of find this union between the person and the AI, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that we are exploring in CVAT. So active learning is one of them, right? It's when you already have some batch of images that is annotated, like the first part of your data set, and you would want to tune an existing model to these very images that you already annotated. This is something that we do not have in CVAT yet, but again, stay tuned.
Awesome. Excited to see that.
Yeah, and the best place to do that is for folks to go to cvat.ai.
Yeah. Let's talk about the future. One thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately is that it feels especially in the field of computer vision, but I think in a lot of areas it feels like I can almost feel this like there's this concept of like not only is technology progressing, but the rate of progress is also increasing. So there's this acceleration of development of new technologies, and I think AI is probably one. AI and computer vision is probably one of the fields that's seen that. Seeing the explosion of like how we went from 10 years ago. I remember talking to people and they'd be like, "Oh, can you label? Can I give you? You guys are a computer vision company. Can I give you an image and just have you label all the things in it?" And I'd be like, "No, that's like not even possible." And then now it's like, not only is it possible, but humans are it's better than humans in like 99% of cases.
Or totally crazy stuff like, can I put you in a high-end virtual set with just your phone camera?
Yeah, that's true. But like one of the things I've been thinking about is like, as the development of the actual like algorithms and the even like tools like CVAT and others are like accelerating. How do you see things evolving for companies that like LightTwist and others that are potentially like using computer vision or like leveraging it in different ways? Like, how do you see that changing over time, like over the next like 5 to 10 years, given it feels like every day there's a new algorithms. It's like hard to like, it's almost hard to like build just one in and count on it. But yeah, I'm just curious how you see that progressing over the next 5 to 10 years.
We're definitely in the area of where the law of accelerating returns work from, the law that Dr. Kurzweil formulated around actually completely different things, but it seems to be working in so many areas of human life. So here we are definitely on this S-curve of development where everything is accelerating all the time. So when deep learning started and, a couple years into, me and the team I was working with, every morning we would go to RSS feed and we would kind of skim through all the papers that were on archive throughout the night that were posted there. And now it's just not possible. That would be not even day would be enough to do that, right? A whole
Yeah.
day, we would not even be working just to skim through all the papers.
Yeah.
So this created actually a very big fear of missing out for me personally when it started accelerating so much that I felt I was keeping track before and I cannot keep track now. But yeah, I mean, you live with that. So and I totally can second Vikas here that, well, a company could spend, like several months, maybe half a year to research something, but then spend a significant amount of resources, and then a paper from Google or Facebook or some other giants in the field would just pop out that would solve this specific problem, maybe even better. So someone else would not have to spend these same resources. I see that this trend is accelerating. I see that independent research groups are posting less and less kind of big papers that really change the industry as compared to the guys from Google DeepMind, Facebook, Microsoft, and other big companies. I'm not going to talk about how it affects the industry. It's just the way it is. So, and I don't think that the trend will discontinue.
Well, yeah, and you made a great point there that there's almost a chilling effect when you have these giant orgs releasing huge papers that might just stomp somebody's entire business model on a monthly basis. It makes people a little more trepidatious about doing that kind of work over a long period of time, because somebody might just swoop under and Sherlock it out from underneath you, to use the old Apple parlance for that kind of feature crushing. Thoughts about that, Vikas?
Yeah, I think it's like one of the things I've thought about, and again for LightTwist and even just other companies that I'm either an advisor in or just friends with, is like, I almost wonder if it becomes like if one of the key advantages is not necessarily like your internal R&D capability in terms of like pushing forward a specific algorithm, but your ability to quickly curate and like have a framework and a team. Yeah, like basically, like if you organize both your company, your team, and your product development process, where you can rapidly take advantage of the latest algorithms, where it's like, okay, it's published, let's incorporate this in. And in some ways, like if you're more like solving an end user problem, then you're closer to you're closer to sort of the, your users aren't computer vision experts, or nor are they like they're not counting on you for that necessarily. They're looking for you to solve their problem, and so you serve as almost like you're almost like one of your value propositions to your customers is that you're curating the very best algorithms to plug into your product, versus necessarily being on the forefront of the research on any one of those, because it's like, how can you there may be this bifurcation of bigger companies or like more well-funded companies or like just existing giants do some of the bigger research to kind of move the big building blocks forward. But then a lot of companies out there, smaller, can figure out ways to take that technology and actually deliver real products for people. So yeah, I don't know. That might become an advantage, but
you're also then sort of at the mercy of those big companies to make sure that everybody can use them, or that to license them in the right way, and that they won't use them in really harmful ways, which unfortunately we can't really trust any of these major companies to do that, because they've shown us time and again that we cannot. But thoughts about that, Anna?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I'm super surprised. I don't think that our field is developing like other fields did, because a lot of like super valuable algorithms and intel and IP goes to open source.
Yeah.
Right. Under different licenses, but many of the licenses are completely permissive. So people literally spend like millions of dollars even to develop something, right? And then they put it out for free, and definitely helps to develop, to progress the field further. And I was thinking, I cannot actually remember any other field that would do the same. And I think that this is kind of this acceleration that we see is mostly due to this fact. So even if these giant corporations, they develop some stuff that, smaller organizations cannot afford, it's still like, we should be, I think, super grateful that they put it out for free and people can build on top of their work.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's an interesting point because, yeah, for whatever reason, the computer vision world has historically done that. Like even, and I guess maybe it's even more pronounced in ML and deep learning. But and I guess and a portion of that is perhaps because the data sets are some of the ones that they actually do keep behind, closed doors. Like, if
secret
we sort of like,
sauce.
yeah, if the data is actually the true sort of and this isn't actually true everywhere because like neural rendering, for example, there's not really it's not a data problem. It's very much just a straight up algorithm problem, because it's sort of self trained from, or trained on a small scale effectively per capture. But yeah, some of these bigger models, I guess their advantage may lie more in their product, in their data, and maybe their product's ability to generate the data for that model. And so maybe that's part of the reason. But yeah, no, it's an interesting question because, yeah, I haven't seen, obviously drug companies don't do this, like,
well, and I wonder how much of it is that computer vision and artificial intelligence, much like open source itself, is pretty deeply rooted in academia, which has a much more loosey-goosey kind of share and share alike sensibility with regards to things like algorithms and processes, versus things like big pharma, which their whole thing is just buying up researchers and locking them up and making sure that they can't share anything they're working on with anybody. And I think that ripples throughout the entire industry.
Well, I want to say I'm not sure that this is the case, but maybe we need to thank some libraries like OpenCV, right? That started the trend of open sourcing everything that you need to actually develop the whole field, right? So we need to thank Gary for that.
Shout out to Gary Bradsky. I guess I'll see him at the next occipital board meeting. But yeah, no, it's and I guess maybe one last question, Anna, because I'm just curious, like if you were to kind of pick from like the different things that are happening in the deep learning field right now, what are some of the areas that you find the most intriguing or maybe underrated? Because there's a lot of things that are getting there's various things that get a ton of attention, but are there areas of deep learning that you've been seeing that you're like, wow, I'm surprised more people aren't paying attention to this?
Mm-hmm. So I would say everything about 3D is kind of underrated. I was actually expecting that it would be kind of bigger at this point because, I mean, since iPhone has LiDAR, I think it's like for 2 years now, at least, maybe more.
Yeah.
There should be an abundance of 3D data readily available, right, from very, very consumer devices. And there should be like a lot of data everywhere, but it's not the case. So, I mean, maybe there is more data in 3D, but I just don't see this, boom in algorithmic world. And the specific part of 3D that makes me just a little bit, wondering when it's going to actually happen is SLAM. So I was waiting for deep learning to solve SLAM completely for many years now. And I think it will happen at some point, but it's not the point now. So I'm actually rooting for robotics to develop faster, and I think it would be a big step there.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's like, I think part of it's like, actually, like your team is one of the few that has gone through, started in the geometric world and kind of learned deep learning maybe. But like, I think that's maybe one of the things is there's this, historically there's a lot of more, traditional computer vision or geometric computer vision, using like, more hand-coded techniques or like basically leveraging multiple view geometry and geometric techniques. And then, deep learning. And I think maybe one of the reasons is there's not that many teams that can do both, like that actually understand 3D.
The skill sets of 3D geometry and deep learning are very rarely coincide. That's what I see. So I don't agree with that with you. So there are basically two areas that I know, which is calibration and SLAM, that are computer vision, not solved by deep learning yet, and they both happen to be in this intersection of multiple view geometry and hard 3D.
It's
I know our friends at Tangram are working on some of these issues. Shout out to them. We'd love to get them on the show one of these times.
Yeah, and I know Arcturus Industries, Jeff Powers, my former co-founders, they're working on they're leveraging some deep learning now in part of the SLAM process for things like predictions. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I've seen a couple of different efforts around end-to-end, SLAM, but I don't think anything is outperforming just like the best SLAM systems. Like Oculus's system, for example, I think is still like a geometric SLAM-based thing with some kind of prediction model. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I agree. It'll be interesting to see how that and to your point, like I'm actually surprised that more models don't take advantage of depth. Like even for things like segmentation, it's like, and maybe I don't know. Yeah, it's not that maybe it's not that useful in certain cases, but it feels like it's one of those things where I don't see a case where it should be strictly the same or better if you train it properly. And I just haven't seen anyone do that yet.
Yeah, I mean, some people do, but I think the state-of-the-art approaches in many fields are still kind of strictly 2D. So
yeah, it's an interesting field.
Well, maybe and there's been an explosion of sort of commodity 3D capable devices like the OpenCV AI kit, and just launched today on Kickstarter, Ray, the robotic access for everyone from Luxanis, which has stereo paired cameras on the front and back, and support for depth algorithms in a little tiny robot. And perhaps that form factor is what's been keeping a lot of this stuff away. I mean, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I really hope this is something that really can advance the robotics. Because, I mean, when I started 12 years back, I wasn't thinking that. I mean, in 12 years, we still won't have robots that would help us with everyday lives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll get there. And I think I actually see, now we're like, I think in the realm where it feels like it's more and more possible. But and yeah, like companies like both the efforts you're doing with Model Place and CBAT, I think are both going to help push forward this industry. There's a bunch of people that are working on this field, so it's it's awesome work so far, and excited to see what you do with it. But yeah, I think we can wrap there. It's like Anna, thanks so much again for joining the show. It's been great to chat with you. That's our show, everybody. Awesome to have Anna on the show. It's been an incredible episode, and
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We will see you again on the next episode of the LightTwist Show. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It was
thank you so much. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, Phil's gonna help edit this down, or basically, I'm not gonna say help.
Phil will literally edit this all down. Yeah, we're trying to post on Fridays, so I'll drop you the link for promotion and everything for